thank you for participating. It doesn't work if people don't participate. So thanks for jumping in and participating. I'll turn it back to Josh, who will introduce Sergio.
Sweet. Yeah, so Sergio's going to come up. Sergio's from somewhere up north.
That's right, yep.
Dakota or something. And what I love about Sergio is, one, he's a great guy. And clearly there's a few more people in the room because of Sergio speaking tonight. And multiple people said, like, hey, I'm trying to do my first deal because Sergio's like helping me and all this stuff. So that's super cool to see him getting out there and doing that. And then also, like, he'll talk about just doing deals in small towns. You know, Nebraska's 99% small towns, and there's a lot of just, like, once you go out of Omaha and Lincoln, you know, anybody in Omaha doesn't care about anything else out there. So
That's right.
There's a lot of, you know, people out there that need solutions for their real estate, you know, issues. So Sergio, take it away.
Awesome, let's do it. All right, well, first of all, I want to say thank you guys so much for coming out tonight. Like Josh said, this is a very large turnout, much larger than I was expecting. I would say half the room is from Norfolk, Columbus, some guys out of David City, and Wausau, actually. So it definitely it means a lot to see a lot of friends back home come this evening, and either way, I'm grateful for everyone that showed up. So, all right, let's do this. I made this on Google Slides. I wish I would have used AI or something, but okay. So this is me, obviously, who I am and why I chose real estate. So how did I get started in real estate? So long story short, one day I was at home just watching YouTube shorts or something. And there's a video of a guy flying a drone through a forest. And I was like, yo, that's so sick. I want a drone. Went to Omaha, went to Nebraska Furniture Mart, picked up a drone, came back home, and just started flying around, having fun with it. But then I was like, dude, I have this genius idea. And obviously, if you've seen anything on Zillow, you're going to see drone photography on every single listing ever. Back then, in Columbus, that was like new. That wasn't really a thing. And so I was like, you know what, I'm going to start taking photos of houses. And so that's what I was doing. Obviously, that's where I was at. I used to be with KW a long time ago. And I started a business named Onyx Media. And that's how I kind of got my way into real estate. Coincidentally, at the time, I was also licensed to sell insurance. Previous to the photography stuff, I was working for Northwestern Mutual, Farm Bureau, and so I was in that game as well. And then I had this really crazy opportunity to be like, this real estate brokerage was like, hey, what if we kept you in-house, and also there's a chance to open an insurance office in this building. And at the time, it was what's called Exorbitant Insurance, which was ran by JR over there. And so that's how I know him. And so JR ended up getting me in that office. And half my job was doing like photography stuff, media stuff for the real estate brokerage. And then the other half was doing the insurance stuff. And then one day, I photographed a house on Lake Oconee. If you guys don't know what Lake Oconee is, I would think it's the richest neighborhood in Columbus, I'm pretty sure. Anyways, everything there's like $1 million, but very expensive. And I talked with the agent at the time. After I took pictures of it, I asked her, Erin, and I asked Erin, I'm like, hey, Erin, what do you get paid when this sells? And she told me a very large number, and I was like, yo, I'm in the wrong business. I want to leave photography and insurance to go into this space. And about 2 months later, I ended up getting my real estate license. So that is how I became a real estate agent first. And if at any point anyone has any questions, please just raise your hand, and I'll be more than glad to answer what I can. So yeah, surely after becoming licensed, I was an agent. I wanted to invest, but I just didn't really know how. That is me. That was like 3, 4 in the morning, and I would just do that constantly. I wanted to learn. I spent a ton of hours reading and learning, but I didn't really know how to time my first jump. I was kind of scared to really take action, risk money, and then one day I just decided to rip it. And so this is a story about a bat, not the swing one, the fly one, and buying a house for $7,000. So right there is my very first house I ever purchased. That was underwriting. That was before Claude. That was before any tools. That was just a Google Doc, typing every little thing, taking pictures, and analyzing the whole deal. And I honestly didn't really know what I was doing. I didn't have any carpentry experience. I didn't really have a whole lot of real estate experience at this time. And I just went for it. And so, as I mentioned before, back home in Columbus, I'd read about, BRRRR, wholesaling, creative finance, novations, whatever. And back then, I would talk with the agents. I would talk to people about that and look at me like I was crazy. Like, that won't work. That's not a thing. Like, that's too good to be true. I told my parents, I'm like, dude, what if I can buy a house not using any of my money? And they thought that was the stupidest thing ever. And yeah, they were serious haters when I started. But long story short, I did find some guys in Omaha, Lincoln that were willing to learn, but they're like, yo, like, we'll sell you this course, this mentorship, 10K, all the way up to 25K. And I was like, dude, that's 10K, 25K more than I have. So I didn't have any money for that. And even if I did, I was like pretty adamant on just doing it myself. I'm going to figure it out. And so one day, the unexpected lead came. There was a woman, if you guys know Shay Spitz, she's the one that kind of put me on. But yeah, so Shay Spitz, she was an agent at my brokerage at the time. And she had an opportunity to list a house in Creston, Nebraska. For those that don't know where that's at, north of Columbus, maybe 15 minutes, town of 200 people. It's dinky. There's nothing there. But yeah, exactly. It was really good. And so she took me out to the property. There was one bat that flew out. She got scared. She's like, I'm not going to walk in this place. I walked in there. I'm like, it's old and this place sucks, but okay, cool, whatever. And so after that, Shay, let me see. There we go. Shay ended up giving me the lead. That is what that house looked like. That was my first ever house. It looks ugly. But Shay was like, hey, you can go ahead, you can list it. And I was like, you know what if I don't list it? What if I end up buying it and trying to flip it myself? And I was like, this is my chance. It's probably the lowest entry cost of every deal I've probably ever done. And I'm like, I'm gonna make something happen. I started with $400 in the bank account. I had no money. I went under contract on this house for $7K, and I had an issue. I needed $7K to buy it and about $10K to fix it. And I got $400 to my name. So I need to figure something out. So I did what I could. I asked everyone I absolutely could to let me borrow money, and no one did. So except three people. First guy named Q. If you guys know me for a while, Quentin's like my best friend. He's like my brother. And yeah, Q at the time was working at the real estate brokerage as a sales manager for roughly like 10 days. I barely knew the guy, but I'm like, dude, I'm running out of people. I need help. I came up to him, and he's like, oh, this deal might work. I'm going to give you the 10K. I'm like, all right, let's do it. And obviously, we ended up splitting some of the profit at the end. He was willing to pitch in with some of the handiwork. And then Jacob is a financial advisor. I really didn't talk to him for like a year prior. I just hit him up, and very, very grateful he gave me 5K. Then my grandpa, that guy does, I will say he does have some money, but he wasn't giving it. So he gave me 2K. And so he gave me 2K, but it was enough just to take the deal to the finish line. And I spent 3 months of my life just sucking, dude. It was terrible. The house was so cold. The house was huge. I didn't have any carpentry experience, and I was miserable. It's just, like every day I woke up, I'm like, oh, I got to go work in this flip. I got to go work in this flip, and I hated it. And I drained every dollar I had. I was dead broke. And my mom gave me $40 just so I can put money into my car for gas money so I can keep going back and forth. And then I ran out of money, obviously, again. $40 doesn't last long. Pawned my Xbox for gas money, and I took it to Ski's Pawn Shop, if you guys know Columbus, but that's who I gave it to, and it was miserable. I really did hate my life for those 3 months, but like I said, 70K invested, we sold it for 104, and it worked out really well.
Sergio, how much did you pay each person back?
Q and I took a split of the profit. Jacob got paid $5,500. My grandpa got $2,200. Yep.
I'd have given him 18.
So that is how I structured my first deal. I should have, huh? No, I'm joking. So now after I sold this house, I took my family out to Omaha, took him to Nebraska Furniture Mart. I was like, anything you guys want, just buy it. And they used it. They did use it. But yeah, so I definitely did give back to them. And so I do want to talk about how can you differentiate in this business. That's me, Q, JR, Mr. West over there. But I picked this picture because these are men I really, really trust. And so this is how I feel like I and potentially others could differentiate themselves. And that's integrity before income. So that is me, Q, and Y is right there too. And so integrity, I would say, is probably the key component to my operating system. So best solution first. I referred out countless listings, even when I wasn't an agent. I give out so many listings to realtors knowing that, like, hey, like, yeah, you might want to sell your house for cash, but to be honest with you, this is not in your best interest. You're much better off listing it. Please, here's a realtor I would recommend. If not, Pick someone you really trust. And so I gave up a ton of deals, but I knew it was in the best interest of the seller, and it just helped me sleep at night knowing like no one got screwed over, I didn't take advantage of anyone, and could I have made a lot more money? Maybe, I don't know, adding urgency or putting pressure, making lies. Yeah, maybe, but I think there's a lot more to life than just making money. So best solution first, every single time, she's very happy. And so number 2 is I've never, ever backdoored someone. So what does that mean? What does backdooring someone mean in this business mean? So for example, let's say, who can I use for an example? Let's say I'll use Darren for example, right? So let's just say Darren calls me and he's like, hey man, I'm working on this deal I have in Norfolk. He's like, we're almost there to closing. It's nothing signed yet. Help me underwrite it, whatever. He just kind of talks to me about this deal. I'm like, oh, Darren's got this deal. He's going to offer $70K on this, but doesn't have it locked up. What a lot of people in this business do is they'll just snake him. They'll be like, oh, okay, that's basically a hot lead for me. I'm going to find out the seller, call them, and just offer them just a hair more and take it from Darren. And so unfortunately, that is very, very common in this business. So I would heavily advise, if you want to keep a good reputation, do not do that. Number 3 is relationships over transactions. Now, if you're in the business, obviously, if you're buying a house, there is an inspection period, and if for whatever reason, after the appraisal inspection, there's something wrong, you're more than welcome to renegotiate price, drop the price, etc. What I have found happening a lot more often, though, which is very, very unfortunate, is typically when you're working with the seller themselves are already kind of in a bad spot, right? If they're wanting to sell their house for cash, it's probably because there's a divorce, a foreclosure. There's usually something bad happening, and a lot of these people know that, like, hey, this is easy meat, basically. This is an easy deal, an easy case for someone to take advantage of. And oftentimes there's a lot of people that, like, let's say I have this deal under contract with the seller, they would need to beat this foreclosure, and I tell them I'm going to buy your house for $100K, and then the day before closing or the morning of, they're going to hit you with the classic, oh, my finance team couldn't fund it, we couldn't do this, we need to drop it down to 80 or 90 or whatnot. And then the seller is then already in a bad spot, right? They're already like, well, I could take it, lose the money, or I could restart. But most of those people in those cases don't want to restart. They don't want to restart the whole purchase process. They don't want to do that. And so I'm strongly, strongly against that. And I'll give you an actual real life example. So I had a deal, it's probably would have been a couple months ago. It was in Columbus. Someone tried wholesaling a house to me, and I made an offer, and they said offers due by this date, whatever. And the morning of that date, I had an offer. It was like $30K under the asking price. They call me and they hit you with the classic, oh, we got a lot of other offers. We're calling for highest and best and blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, all right, well, I'm staying in my offer. I'm going to keep it. Coincidentally, 6 hours later, congrats, Serge, you won. No one. I'm like, yeah, I figured. And so they call me to do that, whatever. Come to the day of closing. It's just like 3 weeks later. In the morning, I don't know if the title company messed up. I don't know what it was. They leaked like a file to me. It was an addendum stating that the seller, or that the wholesaler, originally had the house under contract for the same price of my offer, basically. And so in that morning, there was an addendum signed to drop the offer $20K right before closing. And I was like, yo, that's nuts. I felt really bad. And the title agent or the escrow agent told me that the seller came in, it was an inherited property, and the sellers, they were crying. They were very upset about what happened. And so that's a real life transaction. And so I heavily advise, if someone is coaching you or teaching you to do those things, please do not do that. I think it's very, very unethical. Number 4 is please have integrity in the deals you're selling. So I'll give an example that happened this morning, actually. So I have a deal that I'm trying to move in Lincoln. And I had buyers walk it yesterday. I'm trying to wholesale it. Buyers walk it yesterday, give me a good offer. It's a 5-figure spread. So it's pretty good return on it. Had other buyers go walk it today. Then one of the guys says, hey, Serge, there might be termites in this house. I'm like, oh, okay, well, I sure hope not. But I went ahead and I called Matt Utter, 5 and 2 Inspection, shout out him. But I called Matt Utter. I told him to go out there. I paid him $100. Can you go out there and make sure there's actually termites or not termites in this house? And just a few hours ago, he tells me, yes, Sergio, there is termites. Now, some people will just be like, oh, let's just not disclose that to the people that walked it yesterday. Just take the money and bounce. But it's not aiming to do that. And all those people involved in that transaction are sitting in this room today. So they're all here. They don't have to disclose themselves, but they are in this room. And so I told them very clearly, there's termites in the house, and we're going to have to renegotiate something, or you guys have the right to back out as well. And so I think it's very, very important just to be honest, have integrity, and always give the best solution first. So yeah, there is that slide. So these are deals that I've done where it really boiled down to relationships. So some of them are they're all fairly recent. So 3 deals, 3 different connections, 1 repeated lesson. I'll go through them. My first one was a Novation in Columbus. 1 wedding groom, he's here, a contractor, and then 2 investors. Deal number 2 was a deal in Missouri Valley, Iowa. That was a hotel, and that was someone who looked kind of off, kind of goofy, sitting in the corner of the RIA, and I just came up and talked to him, and that ended up being very lucrative, and I'll talk about that. And then deal 3 is some of my stuff I got going on today, yesterday, next week, just some of my current JV deals I'm working on right now, and it's all because of the relationships I have. So, okay, so first deal was the Novation, solving the seller's whole problem. So long story short, I got a referral. I had flipped the house in Columbus. Their coworker wanted to move out of their house. There wasn't really a need, but they wanted to get out of their house, and I told them time after time after time, like, it is in your best interest to list it. You don't got listed with me, listed with someone. It is in your best interest to list it. She did not want anyone walking through her house, and it was like there wasn't enough margin there of like, this will work as a cash deal. I wanted actually to take it over SubTo. She had a pretty good rate on it, but I couldn't find. So she wanted to buy a new house, and I couldn't find a lender that would use SubTo to take that mortgage off for DTI. If there's a way around that, please let me know. And then, yeah, listing her house would have created contingencies too. So even if she did list her house, wants to buy a new house, her offer is weaker because she needs to sell that house first. And so she had less buying power than the connection. Dude, I called every lender in the world. I was like, yeah, help me. And no one was able to help me. And then for those that don't know my girlfriend, she's a wedding photographer. And so last year, because I was really trying to swoon her, I was doing everything I can to get her. I would go out with her on Saturdays in a suit, sweat the whole day, and help her photograph weddings. And so one of the grooms there, coincidentally, was also a lender. I'm like, this is my last resort. I'm going to call him. That guy right there. And I called him. He's like, dude, I think we can maybe figure this out. I think there's a way to get around this. And so I'm like, all right, say less. So we got around it, got her pre-approved. But I had to find her new house off market. I posted on Facebook. Darren reaches out to me. He puts me on a 3-week call with me and then one of his contractors. He's like, hey, my contractor has his properties flipping. He inherited a house, might fit that buy box. I'm like, yo, I hope this works. And it did. And so execution, she ended up buying that new house first. And we actually got a buy-side commission on that as well. So even though it was a FSBO deal, we asked the seller to give us a 2% commission. That's what we got on it. And we asked for a huge credit from the seller. So she got into her new house with 0 out of pocket. She actually got $400 back at closing. And then after that, we repaired. And by repaired, I mean I washed the bathtub, threw out like 2 beds. And it was like 4 hours, in and out, mowed the lawn. We listed it, and then we sold her former home through a Novation. It was in her absolute best interest just to go ahead and list it traditionally. She didn't want to, and so this is the route we went. So this was earlier this summer. I'll talk about the numbers. Yeah, like I said, a few hours of cleaning. We put it in the market for a week, and I net about 44 out of it. The seller's baseline, which is saying, hey, seller, anything above 170 is going to be my proceeds. I listed for 220. Low key, I was thinking that was kind of high because there's a house very similar to it that was remodeled right next door that sold for 215. I'm like, I just don't think the margin's there. I don't know what the heck happened. Out of nowhere, Saturday at like noon, I get 4 offers over asking. And I'm like, this is bonkers. And I think that, there's a good lesson about this deal too. One offer came in like 20K over asking, but the lender on it was a lender I just didn't quite trust. I helped them, or I was trying to do business with them as an agent years ago, and they blew up 2 of my deals. And I'm like, dude, I don't know if I want to risk it. Like, I'm already getting over asking. I could get 10K, even more over asking. But I was like, I didn't want to risk it. So I think that means something too. Your reputation is very important. Doesn't matter if you're a realtor, a lender, who cares, a contractor. Your reputation is very important because unfortunately that buyer really obviously really wanted this house and they didn't get it because I thought their lender sucked. And so I ended up taking this offer and that was my net right after. But the stars aligned, the seller found the right person to connect all the dots. I think if she wouldn't have met me, I don't think we wouldn't have figured this out because I was very fortunate enough to have known Wyatt, very fortunate enough to have known Darren, and it worked out really well. And so that's why I think it's very important to create as many friends as you possibly can in this business.
Hey, Sergio,
Yeah.
can you define Novation?
Yep, so Novation is basically saying, hey, I want to sell my house and for whatever reason it doesn't work out for a wholesale, you don't take possession of it. Long story short, we put an agreement on this house saying that the property will stay in the seller's possession and anything above $170K when it sells, I'll end up netting. Now, there's a few ways to go about it. In this one, I actually volunteered to carry her mortgage. That was the caveat or whatever it's called. But basically, I covered a mortgage for like 6 weeks. I covered utilities, and I said I'd repair the property. And by repair, it was very minuscule stuff. But typically in other novations, you can go ahead and put as much money as you want into these things. For example, let's say I want to sell my house, and I think it'd be a good retail listing, but I don't have the money to fix it up myself. Someone can come in and do a novation. They'll come in and say, hey, here's a cash offer, or we do a novation and net you more, but you're going to have to let me open up the buyer pool, list on MLS, and go that route. And so that's what made sense for this property, and that's what we did.
So do you sign an initial purchase agreement, and then do you then assign it, or like?
No, I mean, if
I'm
no, I'd be more than willing to give anyone all of my contracts. I'm very open book. But we signed a novation agreement. It just goes through the terms saying that like she cannot encumber the property. She can't put any more liens on the house. Her expectation is she has to allow people to walk through the house. My expectation is I'm responsible for covering the mortgage, the utilities, etc. And then she is the one that would sign the listing agreement directly with the agent. I do not touch that listing agreement. It is purely between the seller and the agent. It gets listed on MLS. You give it to a title company. A lot of title companies aren't really doing this. What I have found is Midwest Title is the only one I've known that does do these. So for future reference, his name is Dave, and that's who I've used for novations. And it's super easy. The novation agreement is just one-page document stating what's your responsibility, what's my responsibility. Grab it, take it, give it to title company, and then they disperse you a check at closing. So, yeah. Okay, so this is the deal I was talking about a little bit ago about the quiet kids. So I went to RIA, this is, definitely a while ago, but there was a kid there, I call him a kid, he was probably like 22, 23, but he was in the corner like in a hoodie, looked kind of like suspicious, very like shy guy, and I'm like, I'm going to go approach him. He's here for a reason, just maybe he's scared to talk to new people. And I approached him and we ended up talking. And so I introduced myself to him. He said he wanted to wholesale and needed some advice. I'm like, sure, man, I can help you with whatever I got. I don't think I'm an expert in anything, but I'll help you with anything I have. And so I gave him some PAs. We talked for a little bit, and then he just kind of went ghost. Didn't really hear from him. A month later, he hits me up. He's like, dude, I got this house in Missouri Valley. I got it in Iowa. And coincidentally, it was a block away from a house I had just BRRRRed right before this. And so I was like, I knew the neighborhood. I knew there's tenants there. I knew it was going to be a good BRRRR. And he let me go ahead and pick it up for $18K. And he had it under contract for $3K, which is nuts. But he had it under contract for $3K. He made $15K on it. And then I had a real estate meetup back home in Columbus, and I brought it up. And then someone's like, hey, I want to pay you $45 for this thing. I'm like, okay. And so sold it for $27 profit. And that was all because I was willing to talk with the oddball in the corner. So it worked out really well. Joint venture galore. This is my friend John. This is the first JV deal I ever did, the first guy I ever mentored, I guess you could say. But he reached out to me on Facebook years ago and said he really wanted to get into real estate, really wanted to wholesale, whatever. And I just gave him what I knew. And a week later, he calls me. He's like, dude, I think I got one. I was like, no way. And sure enough, he did. We met with the seller, got it under contract, and it was a fire-burned house in Columbus. There's like a cleanout crew there. He asked, hey, who's the owner? And got a hold of the owner, and sure enough, they wanted to sell it. And so we ended up, getting that under contract. He got under contract, and then I had a buyer for it, and another young guy his age. They're like both 21, 22. The young guy that bought it then fixed it up, BRRRR'd it, and it worked out very well for everyone. So that was my very first JV deal. And for those that don't know what joint ventures or JVs entails of, it can mean a lot of things, but long story short, let's say it's like someone has a seller, for example. Let's say Rodney has a seller, I have a buyer, and then whatever the spread is, the profit is, we split it. So that's what JVs entail. Here are some ones. There's one we just did literally like a few hours ago in North Omaha. Some guy in Fremont had the seller, I had the buyer, we got that done. We did a double close, me and Rodney over there. We did that last week. That worked out very well for all parties involved. And then currently right now, if anyone after this meeting wants to talk about properties more out west, that's kind of my focus. I do have some deals I'm looking to move in that area. I have a bowling alley in Lee if anyone wants to touch that. If anyone's into that. Probably it's just a big storage room. Used to be a bowling alley, duplex on Osceola, single family in Columbus, and then another single family in Lincoln. So after this, if anyone wants to discuss any of that, please let me know. And then as far as marketing spend, this one's pretty important. I've made a big focus. I think it's on my next slide. Nope, it is not. Nope, it is not. But my big focus, I would say, I learned this from JR over there. If you guys know JR, you cannot see a real estate related Facebook post without him being involved somewhere. He's commenting on everything. But I look at him. He started accident insurance. JR, when did you start that? 2 years ago? Okay, there you go. So he started that, and the business just exploded. I'm like, dude, what are you doing? Like, you're not seeing him buying leads. You're not seeing him do all that, like the PPC stuff. Dude is just meeting with everyone he can, grabbing people for coffee every single week and just going and going and going. I'm like, dude, what if I started that in my business? And I make it an absolute goal every single week to meet at least 200 people out for coffee. And it's been very, very, very lucrative, very profitable, very fun. And that's how I met the Dirks right there. And we got Quack Burger last night. So it is very fun. Okay, so adversity does not ring the bell. So we're going to talk about a 6-figure loss between 2 deals, a lawsuit I was in, and coincidentally, a heartbreak, unfortunately. But it all happened so fast. And the reason I want to talk about this is oftentimes you go to like a meetup or RIA, and it's always just, oh, whatever. I got so much AUM, so many doors, we're doing all these deals. Everyone talks about the good stuff, right? No one talks about like, no, bro, like some stuff happens in life and it sucks. And so some of the people back home know about this stuff, but we're going to make it all public. So this is an acreage I was trying to flip in Madison, Nebraska. I just said life is unfair, get used to it, and that's just how life works. So the holding cost did grow a little bit more than what I wanted to because the rehab ran long. It was like over the winter. It was like a weird time. And we had some unexpected repairs, but it sent me back a little bit, not that much. The part that sent me back the most was something I really could not control at all. This was kind of a higher end listing. I think we had it listed for close to 400, and the holding costs on that are unfortunately pretty dang steep. So I had one buyer, got her under contract. Right after going under contract, before we can get to appraisal or inspection, he goes to jail, did some bad stuff with kids at his farm. He's gone. And so they throw him in jail, and I'm like, wow, that sucks. So put the house back on market. We wait, get another offer, like, sweet, another offer comes in. That guy gets a DUI, goes to jail. And I'm like, and so I'm like freaking out. And so the house goes on the market, off the market, on the market, off the market. And at that point, we start posting on Facebook, and everyone and their mom is talking smack on the comments, being like, oh, this house sucks. It won't pass an inspection. It won't pass an appraisal. And my realtor at XYZ Brokerage said that this house has this issue. And man, people just didn't want to see us win. And we did end up finding a buyer who was able to execute. When they did the inspection and appraisal, not one thing was called. And so it just goes to show that I really couldn't control it. Sometimes life just hits you and it sucks. So part of life. Now this is my very first SubTo deal. Went to federal court. So I don't do not want this to scare anyone off. I don't want this to deter anyone from SubTo, or I would say part of it was my fault. So SubTo, this would have been like 2-3 years. I mean, it was a while ago, but like people. I didn't really know when I was doing it. Like this, I didn't know about this crowd. I didn't know about Josh Coble. I didn't know about anything. I'm just had this mentality. I'm just going to go for it, rip it. This deal was wholesale to me. There was an agent involved, an attorney involved, and I didn't really know what the right due diligence was, I just jumped in and went for it. Long story short, come to find out, shortly after taking possession of the property, the seller, whose name was on the loan, was way more behind than what I was told from the attorney, and no one knew that. We were giving checks to the servicing company, and they were not delivering to the right place. Eventually, yes, the due on sale, I was one of the few unlucky ones. The due on sale did get called. And then closing documents, this one's pretty nuts. The HUD statements that I signed and the HUD statements that were shown to the seller were two different statements. And they found that when they were going through their investigation, whatever. Long story short, U.S. Marshals, so yeah, the U.S. Marshals came to my house because it was in federal court. And they served you, and you got to contest whatever. Got attorneys. I'm like, bro, I didn't do anything wrong. And they were able to prove that. And within 2 months, I was dismissed. And then shortly again after that, they tried me in different courts, and both times just got dismissed fairly quick. And so none of it was my fault. I wasn't trying to snake it. I wasn't trying to do anything wrong. It's just there was a lot of discrepancy between the documentation, and that's how that got involved. And that cost me like 22-ish. I paid attorneys about $10K, and then I put about 12 into the house, so it's all gone. But
did you have to finish the due on sale clause? Did that accelerate?
No, they took it. It's actually on MLS right now. I think it's on Zillow right now. So, yes, they're trying to auction it. Right? No, so they're ready for closed on it, and now I think it's an REO now. I don't know. It's somewhere on Zillow, but yeah, exactly. So like I said, lawsuits. Part of the game, I guess. And I don't think a lot of people will come up here and let the public know. I've been to court, but no, this is true. This is part of the business, and that's unfortunate it happened, but taught me a lesson. And during that time period, you lose basically $100K. You lose a very, very significant chunk of what I had. I had a lawsuit, and this was right after my girlfriend at the time broke up with me. So I'm just like not doing good at all. I feel like life is just killing me, and I was really drained, really exhausted. And I actually went back home to Columbus for a while to sleep with my parents for like 2 weeks because I just was not doing good. I couldn't be alone. I just felt like everything was being taken away from me. But the bell didn't ring quite yet. I really look up to my parents. My parents came to this country with a whole lot of nothing. They didn't really even know English, and now they're very, very fluent in English. My parents didn't graduate high school. There wasn't, they weren't business owners. They weren't farmers. They were just laborers, but they sacrificed every single day for me, and I had to look up to them and be like, dude, this is who I want to be. Like, I look at my dad, for example, and he was just a man that just never, ever, ever quit no matter what. And they've been through it. They definitely, had some suffering in their life, but they got up every day and they woke up early and they worked very hard. I'm like, I got to get back up. And so, very fortunately, we just had to keep it pushing. I had a very, very good BRRRR I did shortly after. When I did the cash out refinance, had some pretty good money that come out of that. Was able to recover from that loss. All the lawsuits were dismissed, and now I have the very best girlfriend in the world over there in the green. So, yes, go for it. Yes, I sure can. So, let me give you the easiest way to explain it. So, BRRRR is an acronym. So, buy, rehab, rent, refinance, repeats. There you go. So I'll give you an example of a BRRRR I did in David City, Nebraska. So I bought a house for $75,000, right? I used that using hard money. And so I used that capital from someone else. I used quick draw lending, I believe, so I used for that one. So use quick draw lending for that one. And then I put about $2K into it. So $77K all in. I just painted it myself, a little bit of flooring. It was super easy. So $77K all in. I took it to the bank. The bank appraised it at $125. And I was like, all right, sweet, I'm going to refinance now. So I pulled $80K out to pay back the hard money, pay back the capital put in it. And then I put tenants in it. And my mortgage on it right now is like, I don't know, $850 a month, something like that. And I get $1,300 a month from it now. So that's what, BRRRR is. Basically, you buy an asset, fix it up a little bit, force appreciation, refinance out 70, 75, 80%, whatever. And then you do it again. And again, and again, and again. And I've come to learn that BRRRR, I would say this year's probably been my worst year of BRRRR. I've been finding it very difficult. Yeah, go for it.
Have you BRRRR'd a commercial property?
No, I have not. Yes?
Why didn't you refinance for the whole amount?
That's a good question, Mr. Cobb. So if I were to refi up for 75, 80, 85% LTV, that only increases my mortgage. And when it increases your mortgage, your DSCR decreases. What is DSCR? Okay, so DSCR is, let's say your mortgage is $1,000 a month and you rent the house out for $1,500 a month. That is a 1.5 DSCR. Typically, in my personal experience, banks want to see at least a 1.25 DSCR. And so it's kind of my target. So could I have pulled more cash out? Yeah, I absolutely could have, but my mortgage would have been higher and my DSCR would have been lower. So it wasn't in my best interest. Yeah, any other questions so far? No? Okay. Now, if I had to start over, especially for those new guys in here, I would start with people. Please start building as many relationships as you can. There's a couple people, let's see, where's Rodney and Darren, and yeah, so a couple people here that are in that picture. This is from a meetup we did in Humphrey a few months, 2-3 months ago. So.
Where is Humphrey?
It is, yeah, that's a good question. It is between Norfolk and Columbus. It's like the halfway point. So on Highway 91 or what? 81. Okay, there you go. So this guy's named Drew. I just met this guy. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to throw him in here. But 5 moves I would make from day one is, like I said, like I talked about before, schedule 2 coffees every single week. Try to meet new people. Drew is one of those guys. I mean, Dirks is one of them. I mean, that's how I met Daniel too. I mean, just so many people. It's just, I basically reach out to these people and like, hey man, like I want to connect. I'm trying to make new friends out here. And 99% of the time they're going to say yes. They're going to say yes. 2, find a mentor. I was, unfortunately, wasn't really able to find one back home in Columbus. That just wasn't really like a thing. Like I said, the ideas I had were so like, I don't know. They were so new for a town that I felt like was so old. I don't know. But wasn't really able to find anyone out there. And I didn't want to pay 10, 20, 30K for mentorship out here. And so if you're able to find someone, I'd be more than willing to help you where I can. And yeah, please, yeah, try to find someone, provide a service to them, and just follow what they do. Now, I mean, it's good to learn from them too, but really follow their actions. You know, I have people that that are new will come out with me to seller appointments, and I want them to watch me and be like, okay, this is what you say, this is what you shouldn't say, but please have your own twist on it, right? I'm not always going to be telling you what to do. Like, have your own twist on it. Feel free to talk with the seller. And I'll take with me like closings. Like, I just want them to like see it in real life, as opposed to just like send you an email and be like, this is, do this or do this or do this. So I really appreciate people that come out with me and just, do the business with me. Number 3 is talk is cheap. What I mean by that is there are going to be a lot of people out there that I think will want to reach out, especially to like the new folks, and they're like, oh, like you should pay $1 bajillion for this mentorship, or oh, you should trust me because I claim this title. I'm a Christian. I'm this. And I really hate to say it, but I'm going to say it. Most people that really claim these strong titles are the first ones to backdoor you. Yeah. Yeah. And it's very, very unfortunate. So before you conduct business or really try to start a relationship with someone, really try to ask for referrals and be like, hey, this guy, I don't know, Josh wants to reach out to me, whatnot. Who can I ask that might know Josh more, right? And everyone's going to say good things about Josh. Josh is the GOAT. He's cool. But still, it's very good to vet people before you really try to trust them, and especially before giving money to them. Number 4 is read and listen. So read as much as you can. I enjoy reading anything and everything. Right now, I'm focusing on reading a book about accounting, because accounting is by far one of my worst skills. But I really, really want to get better at it. And then listen, always be humble enough to know, like, there's always going to be someone smarter than you. There's always going to be someone that knows something that you don't. And you have to be willing just to bow your head and just say, okay, cool, I was wrong, or thank you for teaching me that, or thank you for showing me this. Always be open-minded to new ideas. Number 5 is ignore your highlight reels, or ignore the highlight reels you see online. For example, I could have been posting every deal I've done on my Facebook, and I could have been posting all the positive things. And I would say I probably post mostly positive things, but like the lawsuit stuff, I'm not going to throw it on Facebook. You're not going to see that. It's like, oh, I got broken up with. Like, I'm not going to post that. I'm not going to post things that I've sucked and put them online. So sometimes maybe, if people get to meet me, they might think like, oh, there's perfect life in this, and he's smiley, but now I'm a human too, man. Bad things happen, bad things will happen. And it's part of the game. So understand that, like, if you're someone new and you're want to reach out to someone, or you see someone that's like, oh, it looks like they're doing phenomenal things, they're doing good things, and they might be. I'm not saying they're not, but just know that like their life is not as perfect as you imagine it to be. So there you go. So now's the time for any questions. Very transparent. Ask me anything, business or personal. Go for it.
What's the best way to find crews when you're doing jobs in small towns?
That's a good question. Well, the good news is there's a lot of them. The bad news is most of them suck. A lot of them don't really move fast. So as far as like tips go, I would say when I started, I had to find lenders and I had to find contractors. I would find people that were doing it already like on Facebook, or I would start digging deep, or even go to like Zillow and be like, wow, that looks like a flip. Who owns that flip? Call them up. I just skip trace and be like, hey, buddy, who funded your deal and who worked on it? And that's how you make those connections. It's basically, seeing the end product and be like, oh, that looks good to me, and then try to find out who did it. And so that's how I started. That's how I got a hold of like some private money guys back home, some hard money guys. Was doing that. I was like, this looks like a flip. How did you fund it? And half the people would tell you, half would be like, oh, just give you the runaround. But I would say find someone that's doing it and ask them.
Okay.
Yeah. Mr. Cobbs.
How often do you find yourself like reusing the same contractors versus like having to seek out new ones?
Ooh, that's a very good question. I would say I'm pretty consistent with everyone I've ran into. There's only been like 2 or 3 crews that like I had to like fire, like, or they just sucked. But I would say very, very consistent. I would like to think I do a very good job of vetting people, and it's not always like, oh, who's the cheapest or who's investor friendly, which just I feel bad for those sometimes, because I'm like investor friendly and like their quote comes in like pennies. I'm like, dude, how are you making any money on this? So I would much rather pay someone more, that knows like for sure they're going to do it right, and I trust them. So yeah.
With your SubTo deal that went south, did the attorney or the wholesaler ever talk to the bank?
Yes and no. So the wholesaler was in Washington. The attorney was in Iowa. The real estate agent was in Iowa. And dude, that could be a long conversation. But long story short, the attorney called me freaking out. He's like, honestly, I didn't know what I got myself into. I didn't know what we just did. And I'm like, you're kidding me. And I told my attorneys that. I'm like, this attorney didn't know what he was doing. And they are actually still in the lawsuit right now. I'm the only one that got dropped off. So everyone else is still involved as we speak.
Did they call and get a reinstatement though?
Was there a catch up? Okay.
How did you come up with the number that you had to pay off?
They caught. Okay, there was a. Oh my gosh, what's it called? Not a reinstatement. The bank sent a letter. It was not a reinstatement though. The bank sent a letter. They told us we could catch it up, and they were like, okay, look, we're just going to do it for you guys and just take a big hit on this. And then the seller blocked it. Like, she did not want it to happen. Like, she wanted to lose the house. And it was a huge mess. It was like 1,000 emails, a bajillion phone calls. But that's where that deal went, unfortunately. So I wanted to. I didn't want to get to that point, but I couldn't control it. So, yeah.
How are you navigating the wholesale laws at this point? When you get a deal?
You gotta be compliant, buddy.
You're a realtor.
Yeah, I have a license. Yep.
Yeah. So are you having to double check anything? Like what changes are being made since the laws have changed?
More paperwork.
More paperwork.
Yeah, now you got to sign the seller property condition disclosure. That's a part of it. It's been very easy though. I've been very transparent since the beginning. I've never, even before all this stuff started, I never wholesaled a house and not told the seller I'm wholesaling. I told them right away. I'm like, this is what I'm going to try to do, and hopefully it works out for you. And so it's. Oh yeah. Even before all the legal stuff, they're already all in the contracts. And it would state like, Sergio intends to make a profit. Sergio has the right to assign. So disclose everything. So yeah, and I've never had a seller ever once complain. So.
What's your major investment strategy?
That's a good question. When I started, I was flipping and burning a lot. I would say this year I've definitely gotten more into probably double closing. It's probably been the one I've been doing the most. A lot of double closing. Yeah. And so what a double close is, for those that don't know, basically it's just a way to kind of move around the wholesale stuff. Is you're able to buy a property and you actually take possession of it. You're not assigning your interest in it. Take possession of it and then right after sell off to someone. Like I had a deal last week. I owned a house for 8 minutes, and so. And we did pass-through funding, which maybe is a common thing. I did not know what that was until very recently. So, hopefully you guys can learn something new here. Pass-through funding was, I was able to buy a property not using any hard money or private money, none of my money, but I used my end buyer's money to fund my purchase from the original seller. I don't know. The title company said, yeah, we do that. I'm like, all right, let's go for it. And that saved me a ton of money because typical transactional funding costs like 1%, 0.5%. I don't know. But it saved me some really good money, and they were willing to do it, and it worked out really well. So it didn't cost me, I didn't have to take out a hard money loan, I didn't have to do anything. I just showed up, and worked out well.
Could you explain that again?
Okay, all right, no, you're good. Okay, so pass-through funding, right? So let's talk about double closing first. Let's say you two right there on the couch, I want to buy Wyatt's house for $100K, and I, don't want to wholesale it, can't wholesale it, whatever. So I'll go ahead and I'll actually own his house for $100K. I'll buy it, and then I can go ahead and double close it to you the next day or the next week, whatever, for 110, 120, etc. Now the pass-through funding is pretty cool. Basically, the pass-through funding allowed me to buy his house without actually using any of my money. I only used your money. So you're the one that took a hard money loan out on it. We used your capital to pass through the funding through me to buy his house. And so
Just bird dog in my house, then, basically.
yeah, basically. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So
what happens if his hard money company or his investor?
Exactly. Yep. What happens if that tanks?
Yeah.
I don't know. Didn't happen. So I question that too. I'm like, what if that tanks? What if the lender doesn't perform? Does that put me in a bad spot? I would think it does, but yeah.
They submit the money to title first, though, and that's sitting in a different transaction. Correct?
That was how it was supposed to be. There was a small hiccup at closing, but I think it was supposed to come in first thing in the morning. They let the wire, like the money, sit there, and then they move it how they need to. But that was new for me. So hopefully that was new for someone in here too. I didn't know that was a thing. Yeah.
How do you connect with like virtual wholesalers?
That's a good question. I don't.
Well, because you said you had a deal from Washington, a wholesaler from Washington.
Oh, okay. So that one came from Investor Lift. Yep. So my bad. Yep. That one did come from Investor Lift. Yeah. If you guys don't know what Investor Lift is, I don't know all the specifics, but you're able to find deals on it. It's like Facebook Marketplace, but more expensive almost for these wholesale deals across the country. But that one I got off of Investor Lift. So yes, but typically my practice doesn't involve out-of-state people almost at all. It's just Nebraska, Iowa stuff. But
You can also just go on Facebook. There's a bunch of people posting deals.
there's a ton of Facebook groups. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, I got a lot of questions. At what point in your journey did you start systemizing your processes, and what indicators are a good sign to say like, hey, I need to start automating this process instead of just doing like an Excel spreadsheet?
Oh man, dude, my software sucks. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not saying I'm like all the way back to like Excel stuff. I used Go High Level for like the longest time. That was like my go-to CRM. That was my software. Very recently, now I'm trying to transition into Resimpli. And as far as like the AI, like integrations, I don't really have none of that. So I don't really have anything crazy automation. I know that's like been a big thing for a lot of people. I don't know. I would say I like probably keep things a lot more old school, and I keep my CRM organized. But as far as like the AI, the system stuff, the VAs, no. I used VAs. I did the PPO. I did every type of marketing you can imagine, the direct mail stuff. And nothing was more profitable and more fun than doing the JR strategy is what I call it. Just trying to make as many friends as you can. Yeah, have coffee, a lot of coffee. So my marketing spend is like $100 a month maybe. It's really cheap. Yeah. And go for it, Terry.
So translating what you just said means old people that don't have computer skills can actually do this.
I think anyone can. I mean, if I had $400 to my name and was able to pull it off, I think anyone can figure it out. Yeah.
I'm the same way too, just spreadsheets. I don't even go to the CRM. I'm just spreadsheets and some copy, not that much copy.
Yeah. But yeah. Anything else?
Sweet.
Awesome. to
A
begin.
couple of key takeaways. One, I think you're in the name Batman. And then two, I think it's really cool. There's 100 different ways to do a deal. And the way that Sergio does deals were different than the way I would do deals. And so hearing him talk about different things, super cool. And so, pick everybody's brain on these things. There's so much you can do. And then there's so much gray area in real estate. And I think that's why it's got I never wanted to be a realtor because I thought realtors were the worst. And then also just getting into real estate, there's like so much icky feeling stuff that you get right away. You're like, oh, you're actually saying you're this person, but you're this person. And so I love, where you're coming from on that, and the integrity, the transparency, and that's what we want this to be wrapped around is transparency, relationships, helping each other out, and that we don't hold all of our cards close to our chest, and we want to open that up. So anytime you need to reach out to Sergio, did you leave a spot?
I should have. I could have put a QR code and stuff, but just you can type my name in Facebook and yeah. And no, thank you guys so much for coming out. Like I said, there's a much larger crowd than I expected. A lot of guys here from all of more western Nebraska, so I really, really appreciate everyone coming out and making the drive, and yeah, it means a lot.
And you guys can hang out as long as I want you to. And then we got a while here if you guys want to chat and everything. So thanks for coming. And we do this once a month. So right now we're on rotation of every third Tuesday of the month, I think, at 7:30. So
No, thank you, my friend. I appreciate it.
all right. Have a good night, everybody.